Good afternoon. At various planning stages, I've seen this talk listed as digital literacies to be announced, then as either citing the web or a brief introduction to Zotero. To dispel any confusion, I've chosen to use both of the latter titles. Zotero is special to me in that it saved my bacon, or whatever the vegetarian equivalent of saved my bacon would be. I earned my doctorate in information studies at UCL a few years ago, and I was using Zotero throughout the thesis writing process. Without it, I'm sure I couldn't have submitted work on deadline. So the following is neither sales rep patter, nor is it a software demo. It's an unsolicited product endorsement by a happy user of the product. This talk will presuppose that you use word processing software such as Microsoft Word or its open source equivalent LibreOffice Writer. If you don't or aren't planning to, this talk may be of very limited use to you. In this talk then, I would like to discuss four things. Number one, Zotero and citation management. Number two, not citing the web at all. And then I would like to advance two conflicting propositions, namely citing the web is exactly like citing print, and citing the web is nothing like citing print at all. Zotero is an open source citation manager that competes with proprietary and pricey software products such as EndNote and Mendeley. Zotero, in contrast to these, has an intimate affinity with the web, having started out in 2006 as a Firefox plugin and becoming a freestanding application only last year with version 5.0. Citation management software aspires to take the pain out of preparing bibliographies or citing sources and appending reference lists to your work. Instead of manually keeping track of your citations and typing out your bibliographic data, the software stores the data, typically in a relational database, assembling it into a bibliography or adding citations and complete reference lists to a text in process with a single point and click command. Zotero allows you to enter bibliographic records to its database manually by filling in one bibliographic element at a time via form fields such as title, author, place, publisher, date, etc. Uniquely, I believe, among citations managers, Zotero will also attempt to harvest, and in most cases succeed at harvesting, bibliographic data from the web for you. When you're looking at an online library catalog record, an item in an online repository, or a page in an online bookshop, or in fact any web document as such, Zotero will allow you to database its bibliographic data with a single click. The result of this automated data capture may vary in quality, and you may have to manually adjust or complete a record. When, for instance, you acquire a book's bibliographic data from Amazon, from an Amazon page, place of publication invariably seems to be missing. Nevertheless, automated bibliographic data capture from the web is a very attractive feature. Next, Zotero also helps you enrich and organize the bibliographic data you've collected. You can add notes to your data or append whole files, such as documents in PDF, Word, ODF, or HTML format. Further, Zotero will let you group bibliographic records into collections and tag them with keywords, which makes them easier to manage. Most importantly, however, Zotero will automatically generate citations and reference lists inside word process documents created with Microsoft Word or its open source counterpart, LibreOffice Writer. To do this work in line with whatever citation system you're asked to conform to in any given piece of writing, Zotero currently boasts nearly 9,000 available citation styles. Among them, as of yesterday, 419 in the field of psychology alone. The citation style recommended by the British Psychological Society's Style Guide is not among them, due to the circumstance, I assume, that BPS citation style derives from the publication manual of the American Psychological Association, known as APA style, with only minor variations. API style is one of the dozen or so styles that Zotero supports right out of the box. If you so wish, Zotero will also automatically synchronize your collected materials, keeping your notes, files, and bibliographic records up to date across all of your devices, allowing you to access your data from any browser. You can also share your data with others, exporting it to any of the nearly 20 bibliographic data exchange formats supported by Zotero, including Wikipedia citation template format, should Wikipedia editing be your thing. Here we are. A few words about not citing the web at all. You may not want to cite the web at all. In many cases, especially if you're working within a conventional research paradigm, you may have little need to cite any web materials at all. When writing up your methodology or literature review, you may find that there isn't anything outside the peer-reviewed published record that you'll ever want to reference. You may be accessing much of the literature through a web interface, for instance, when downloading papers from an online repository. As a rule of thumb, however, with peer-reviewed literature, you should probably cite the Digital Object Identifier, DOI, rather than the URL, which will automatically resolve to the URL, if any, for now and forever after. Through the web, using services such as Open Library, you may even be accessing digitized objects such as books, in which case you probably want to pretend that you read the printed book and cite it accordingly. So there's no need for citing the web either. However, once in a while, you may want to cite, for lack of a lovelier term, native web content, things that are woven into the fabric of the web rather than just being accessed through it. The same principle to follow here is that most of such material should be cited like you'd cite printed material, simply because a generic descriptor such as web page isn't any more useful for bibliographic purposes than printed matter. Moreover, publication types do exist on the web as well. So when collecting your bibliographic data in Zotero, avoid assigning the item type web page to anything, because very few things ever are a web page. They're either a conference article, a journal article, a magazine article, a book section, or any of the other descriptors that Zotero makes available under item type. There's one instance where I strongly disagree with APA style. For reasons unstated, APA believes that the blog post should be referenced with, that a blog post shouldn't be referenced with a publication name, despite the fact that blogs actually do have names. Accordingly, Zotero's APA-style reference lists will suppress the publication name when the item type is blog post, because, hey, when you're a proper magazine, you deserve a publication name, but when you're a lowly self-published blog, Such distinction, unfortunately, cannot be conferred upon you. The workaround is simply to assign the item type magazine article to a blog post. Web materials are nothing like print in that they're highly unstable. They can be here today, gone tomorrow. Or if they change their URL, which tends to happen when a newspaper or magazine redesigns. The first line of defense against the disappearance of the web materials that you might want to cite is to take a snapshot of the whole page when you acquire the bibliographical data with Zotero. This is a feature in the preferences. You can ask Zotero to grab a snapshot of anything on the web. This will capture the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, the works. If you're a bit more heavily invested in using web materials as part of your research, you will probably end up doing some more serious archiving yourself, such as backing up whole websites at a time. I use the wget package for this purpose myself, but I understand there are other web archiving tools that are more intuitive to use. Both taking snapshots in Zotero and personal archiving will do nothing to keep the materials publicly alive and available for your readers and enemies to verify. This is where the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine comes to the rescue. The Wayback Machine, as is widely known, offers extensive and freely accessible archival copies of web materials that go as far back as 1996. More recently, it has also added a feature that lets you ask for any page that hasn't been archived previously to be archived on the spot. This feature allows you to make sure readers of your web citations will be able to refer to the reference materials even when these materials have disappeared from the web. And this is where this talk ends. You can learn more about Zotero by visiting Zotero.org, where you can also download the software for your operating system of choice. Thanks for your attention.